What's going on, everybody? It is the one and only Q here from Retro Q Gaming, and not only has it been a hot minute since we've had a video, it's been an extra hot minute since we've talked Halo Infinite. At least it feels like it anyway. And this isn't about the release date, December 8th by the way. This isn't about the beta test, the beta flight, whatever it is that I was included in, and, well, subsequently quickly uninstalled because I was unimpressed. But not my kind of game mode. You know, multiplayer against bots just doesn't do it for me. Anyway, what we are here to talk about today is we are talking about the official Halo Infinite system requirements on PC. Of course, PC will be the best way to play this game with the highest resolution, highest frame rates, highest quality settings, and of course, proper mouse and keyboard and many other bells and whistles only the PC can afford. Now, it's going to be a little bit interesting because we're going to talk minimum specs and recommended specs, which are the only two given. There's been no like ultra specs or max specs or anything like that, but it's fair to say that you can kind of extrapolate a little bit and get it from there. Now, when it comes to the minimum system requirements, you may think, oh, that's suspiciously low, and you may go back and think of what we saw last year when they first debuted the gameplay of Halo Infinite, which was subsequently panned, called a last-gen looking game, and delayed for over a year. Just imagine if it had launched in its original time slot. Yikes. Anyway, Halo Infinite minimum system requirements are as follows. A 64-bit processor and 64-bit operating system. If you're living in current year, you should have one of those. If you have Windows 10, which again, 64-bit, you're looking at Windows 10 RS3 x64. Processor minimum requirements are AMD FX 8370 or an Intel i5 4440. 8GB of memory. Graphics cards are looking at an AMD RX 570 or an NVIDIA GTX 1050 Ti. DirectX 12 and 50GB of storage. Now, of course, this you may already know is technically for the campaign, might be a little bit higher for the multiplayer because that is kind of separate, but we'll see. We'll see. This is listed for the campaign side of it anyway. Now, moving on to the recommended system requirements. Remember, these are probably not max settings, as well as it does not specify if they're going to be target resolution or frame rate either. So there's a bit of a almost pointlessness to this. But anyway, you're looking at the same 64-bit processor and operating system requirement. Windows 10 19H2x64, so a little bit of a different variant there. Processor CPU, you're looking at AMD Ryzen 7 3700X or an Intel i7 9700K. 16GB of RAM. On the graphics card side of it, you're looking at an RX 5700 XT or an NVIDIA RTX 2070. Again, DirectX 12 and storage of 50GB. Now, there's a little bit to talk about when it comes to these system requirements. Mainly, it's the minimum ones we're looking at first. And simply because people might be wondering, wait a minute, if these minimum system requirements are so low, when you look at the CPUs and GPUs in particular, well, let's be real. The game has to work on Xbox One, so it's going to work around Xbox One era or a little bit higher hardware. So that's where this comes in. So don't automatically be afraid of it. However, I will say this. When I did play the beta test flight, I do realize it's a beta test flight and it's not a proper representation of the final one. Ultra settings were not very impressive at all. Max settings in every way, shape, and form were not impressive. But again, it's a beta test. You know, I'm not too worried about it in that regard. But what does get me here, and this also carries over to the recommended system requirements, is the storage of 50GB. Now, in an era where we have games upwards of 100GB with their quality textures and settings and all as well, this looks like 50GB is not going to be a good time, especially considering it's a semi-open world game. And because it's semi-open world, you're going to have a lot of open world textures out there too. So that can be a bit of a problem. 50GB is small by comparison for modern games, especially considering they're trying to tout this as they're being designed around high-end PC and next gen, but it will also work on previous gen. There's a little bit of a problem here with that. We already saw games at the end of the previous generation touching 100 plus gigabytes, let alone now in the next one. Who knows, there may be an additional Ultra HD texture pack available on PC downloaded separately, because these are the minimum and recommended system requirements. So, I mean, Who knows at this point? We'll find out in just a few months, December 8th, assuming the game isn't delayed. Of course, I do want to just throw in a little bit one in there as well, that co-op campaign and Forge mode are coming later. They are not coming at launch. As we all know, the multiplayer is at launch separately as well, and that one is free to play, versus what we have here, which is the paid campaign and the system requirements here. I am not looking forward to this in a way. I'm much looking forward to new Halo because I love Halo as a series and I definitely want more. However, everything I've seen for Halo Infinite since day one has been concerning, and it has arguably been downhill every time I see or hear something new. And I'm still going to get it, but I'm very, very worried.